a RottenDog MPU board for a WhiteStar Monopoly or Stern Monopoly game. And you can see I don't have any switch rows or columns attached. And it's indicating that switch row 2 is always on. Well, I've isolated it, or I've figured out that the third pin over is switch row 2. RottenDog, for whatever reason, didn't use the same circuitry as the OEM Stern boards use, where here's the switch rows. It does a typical comparison between probably a ground and 5 volts, that's right. And then it'll pass on a switch closure at that time, as ground will come out of these LM339s to U205, which is an HC245. Here's U205. On this board, you can't read it. It's an an ALS 245. So I don't know why the LM339 implementation wasn't used, but I suspect that this ALS 245 is crocked. So let's replace it. Well, I have replaced that LS 245 or ALS 245 back into switch test, and good news. At least row 2 isn't locked on. Let's see if the rest of the switches are working. Let me go through the diagonal, proving in one felled swoop that all rows and all columns are working. Outstanding. So let's test the rest of this board. So that was switch test. We'll test the coils, and we will cycle through them. The client sent the driver board also. This is a test panel that I built based on the homebrew models I used to have, and using some expertise that has been afforded to me by my friend Victor. Making these PCBs, clean it up, make it look more professional. I made this one the same way in that the layout of these LEDs matches the layout of the transistors on the driver board. Now that was solenoid, what is that, 27, that appears to be locked on. My guess is that it's not actually locked on. It's probably a motor or an enable or something. It's a motor relay, so it's going to leave that one on and not care that it's on or not. And if I exit diagnostics, it'll probably go out, but we'll see. It's still on, but I don't think that matters. At least I don't think that's actually locked on. Lamps are working perfectly. Flashers are a rehash of some of the solenoid circuits. Gird yourself. That's interesting. A couple of the coils fire at the same time as the knocker. Maybe that's to provide some tactile feedback. Who knows what Stern was doing at this stage.
Hey, which way did you go? Stay right there. Take a ride on the railroad.
Sound working good. I'm not going to do the display test. I'm going to back my way out of here. And reboot. And you can see that solenoid drive has turned itself off. It's looking for balls on the display, and it's decided to give up. I'm sorry, looking for balls in the game, And you can see that that solenoid is no longer turned on. It's going through a track mode. Not very often that the lamps on the playfield line up in a column like that. Pretty cool. So that solenoid 26, which was, coil 26 was reported to be turning on all the time. It was, and that is the electric company coil or solenoid on Monopoly. So my guess is that one of the switches in switch column or switch row 2 is in fact something to indicate to the game that it should be firing solenoid 26. So we're good to go. Thank you so much for sending it.